What was your experience like in engaged living?
Yeah, I think like an overall theme of my existence in the engaged living program is that it continues on. You really like continue to question these things with people and forge relationships that have like last throughout Furman. My roommate freshman year in the engaged living program is still my roommate today. I was very scared of her when I first met her, but we through digesting these questions together, I was like, wow, like she's really interesting. And like we like also like have very different views on some things, and we really like can have conversations for hours about all of these ideals. And we still go to political talk club together. We're both in the TOEFL program together. And I have those kind of relationships with a lot of other people. So it really does form a community for you at Furman and give you a nice structure for your education.
Yeah, similarly, my roommate from this past year is also going to be my roommate next year. We just got along really well. But there have definitely been times where we would have a discussion in class and my friends and I would leave and we would keep talking about it through lunch, and then somebody would bring it up at dinner, and then we would be on it for hours on end. But I think there's something really special about taking a class with people you live with, because you really get to know them, and those class discussions you have, especially when they get into things more interesting like morals and how many pieces of candy do you take out of the candy bowl when it says take two. You have like real conversations about that stuff. People are giving their real honest opinions on it because you know each other so well that if someone tried to like lie, you would just know they're not telling the truth. So it breeds really honest and just great conversations that I don't think I would have if these weren't people I already lived with.
That's
How is it different from living in South housing?
Miss Daly, you wanna give that a shot?
Yeah, sure. I think it would also be interesting to get Reagan and Parker's perspective too with COVID and everything. It'll be different next year, but still might have some things. So basically, you're living in sophomore housing as a freshman. South housing, you have hall-style bathrooms, and a lot of them have been singles this year due to COVID. And in the lakeside housing, you have suite-style rooms. So you and your roommate and another person in your roommate all share a bathroom. And that's very nice. And you're also like right by the water, so you can walk really quickly to the DH and campus and walk around the lake. That's how it's different, like practically from South housing. In terms of like with your classmates, like if you happen to meet these people from other places or in a politics class as a person in South housing, I think it is a lot with what Reagan said. That's what the difference is. You really forge those connections a lot faster and get to conversation a lot deeper.
Do you have anything to add to what Ms. Daly was saying about the experience living in Lakeside?
I can add something really quick. I don't know what COVID protocols are going to be next semester, but one thing that I found really helpful was we couldn't really go out a bunch. We couldn't do a ton of stuff, but having people that you already like lived with, and like it was very much like you couldn't go to other buildings. So having people you lived with that you already knew made that so much more bearable because you were already friends with a lot of people you were living with. So that was a big plus COVID-wise. You never really felt isolated from other people.
And I would say another one of the nice advantages of Lakeside over South housing is you have a little indoor lounge there with a TV, and that's really great to like meet people and be able to hang out. And we did some fun events throughout the year. We'd do like Monopoly night, or we would do like an election watch party. That was a really fun one. But we would just kind of, it really promotes all getting together because you would hear people in the lounge, and no matter what time of the day it was, you know, people would come out and they would engage in a conversation. And I really enjoyed that, because you essentially just had a place where if you hung out, someone would show up after not too long, and then maybe you'd get dinner and just talk into the night.
Is it hard to meet other freshmen since you live in a different housing complex?
I would be happy to take this answer. My view of this was that it is as difficult as you make it. Ultimately, only one of your classes is with the people you live with, and so the other three you're going to be with other freshmen. It all comes down to how willing you are to put yourself out there and meet new people. I have several really great friends that lived in Soho this past year. Once COVID restrictions lifted a little bit more, people from Soho would come over to Lakeside. People from Lakeside would go over to Soho pretty regularly. Also, if you do other activities like a club or sports, you'll meet people through that as well. So it really comes down to like being in classes, talking to the people sitting around you. And I didn't find it super difficult even with COVID.
I'll pop in on the end of that and say the same thing. You know, last year would have been like the year would have been the absolute worst because we couldn't even head over there, like go inside their buildings. But if you, I mean, I'm in a lot of clubs, but if you join a lot of clubs that you're interested in and you really like work to get to know people in a lot of your classes, it's really easy to make friends. And I've made a lot of my best friends out of the regular freshman housing. So you can, if you don't take any kind of effort, manage to isolate yourself, but even just a little bit of outgoingness and you'll know people from everywhere.
Ms. Daly, you have something of the long view on this question, because you're our veteran.
Yes, I would say the same thing and give the same advice that Reagan and Parker have made. I've been able to maintain friendships with people who originally lived in Soho, and also like as a junior or senior, you're also living in different apartment buildings. So I live with my closest roommates, my closest friends on campus, but I still have lots of other friends that are like scattered throughout North Village. And we couldn't really go over to their other apartments this year. Still could take lake walks together, still could grab dinner in the dining hall. So you can definitely maintain friendships and easily meet new people throughout your time at Furman.
And I should add, I don't know if I have the authority to say this, but the way that the engaged living housing works is there's about 4 floors. And my understanding is that there will be 2 floors of engaged living, but you'll also have 2 floors of other freshmen over there with you, is my understanding. So it's not like you're totally isolated. Like you have a good chunk of people over there.